plaintiff, Brent Seaforth, was friends with the defendant. However, Brent claims they were both at a bar one night when he saw the defendant confronting a man. And when Brent stepped in to help, the defendant assaulted him. He's suing for pain and suffering. Defendant Garrett Martin says the man he was talking to on the night of the incident was his younger cousin, and he was upset because Brent was taunting him. Garrett asked Brent to walk away, and when he refused, the two of them got into it, and that's when Brent got hit.
Prove your case.
I've known the defendant since 1997, roughly, when we were teenagers, and until that night, he never once had done anything to me. We got along very well, and I would definitely consider him my friend. He did have the reputation throughout the community as being terribly violent once he started drinking, but to me, never once have I ever had any problems with him.
Did you ever see him turn violent with beer muscles?
No, sir, I didn't. It's well known.
That's what it's called, right?
Yeah. Well,
beer muscles.
More or less.
People only fight when they get drunk. Let me ask him about his background before we get to the specifics.
Sure.
Sir?
I have no criminal history.
All right. Now let's go ahead and tell me. So obviously he wasn't convicted of anything.
He had a DUI he was convicted of.
Knowing this?
Oh, with this, yes. He was convicted of a misdemeanor. Originally, Originally it was Class I felony.
Tell me what happened.
Late March of 2009, I had arrived at a wedding reception late. Throughout the evening, the defendant became drunk. He had been in several different confrontations with people that were unhappy with his behavior at the reception. I was not there at that time and didn't witness any of that. However, I have a copy here of a statement released, or that I'd like to show you.
Let me see it, please, Doyle.
Once the reception was over, we left at around 11 o'clock, went across the street to another bar. We were mingling, having a good time, and I had stepped outside to use my phone because it was loud. At which time, when I had stepped outside, I had realized that the defendant had a smaller statured individual, more or less backed up into the corner of this building. And after I made my phone call, I thought, I knew Garrett. I've known Garrett for many years. And I knew the other person as well. When I got closer, smaller stature person, he looked very scared. He was crying. His shirt was untucked. Looked like he had been roughed up at some point. I had asked the two of them if they needed any help or if everything was okay. The defendant told me, "This is none of your business. It doesn't involve you, Brent. Get out of here." He said it a second time. So I left and decided that I'm going to go inside the bar and get somebody to help out because something's not right here. As I continued to walk away, I figured that I walked somewhere between 5 and 10 steps, and he had punched me extremely hard, blindly, on the side of my face.
What was happening with the little guy?
He totally must have forgot about him at that point.
But what did the little guy do? Did the little guy help you?
No, he didn't do anything for me.
What did he do? He just stood there and shook his head?
He stood there and watched, and later he said he wasn't even at the scene at that time, and I have a statement that says he was there.
He told the police that
he told everybody that.
So you went to rescue him.
Yep.
And
this individual
when he
turns out to
assaulted
be
you, the one you tried to rescue didn't come to your aid and even told people he wasn't there. He didn't know anything about it.
Correct.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Let me hear your side.
The guy that I was talking to was my younger cousin. Mm-hmm. He was extremely upset about a girl and him that had broken up. So he was kind of making a little bit of a fool of himself, like guy code. So I took him outside and he was depressed about it, we'll say. And I'm like, it's okay, and Brent came outside and I told him to leave it alone.
So you were talking to this young man?
Yes.
And then he walked up and started talking to the young man?
Yes.
About what?
Telling him to grow up and be a man about it and things like that.
All right.
So I asked Brent to leave and he just kept talking, and then as things escalated, there was pushing and wrestling, and we ended up getting in a fight.
Okay, and sir, that sounds more reasonable as to why the young man didn't fess up to being there and join in, because you were there talking stuff to him and belittling him. Now, not saying that he's right at all, but I am inclined to believe that if this young man didn't come to your aid while you were getting assaulted and he acted like he was never there, Sounds like this young man was mad with you too. And so he said, I ain't even gonna say nothing. I don't know nothing. I ain't see a thing. Nonetheless, this shouldn't have occurred at all. And what happened subsequent to the assault?
The police were called. I had to be taken by ambulance. At the time of the incident, he had hit me on my left side of my jaw, and I could hear ticking and breaking in my jaw. I covered my face. I didn't know what happened. It was blindsided. I continued to walk away, and he continued to hit me and hit me and hit me and hit me. At that point, he continued to hit me, at which point I went down to my knee because I started to become disoriented, and my elbow to cover myself, which at that point, towards the end of the attack, he began to kick me in the side of my head and stomp on my feet and legs before he finished the attack.
Let's move on. What happened with the police?
They realized that I needed an ambulance and had to be transported to the emergency room. At first, I really just thought I had facial fractures consisting of my jaw. After the CT scans, which I have copies of, I had 12 facial fractures. My jaw was broken in 4 spots. My orbital bone above and below my eye were fractured. My sinus cavity had multiple fractures throughout the length of it. And I was in pretty bad shape. After that, they realized that they had to lay me on my stomach. They couldn't touch my face. They were worried about shifting or caving of my face.
How long were you in pain?
I was in pain I was out of work for 5 weeks. I'm a UPS delivery driver. I could not work for 5 weeks. I couldn't lift any more than 10 pounds. They didn't want me bending over to tie my shoes. I couldn't eat solid foods. I had terrible headaches. I had nausea and vomiting for 3 weeks. I had blood in my stool and my urine and coming out of my mouth for at least 4 weeks.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yeah.
2 weeks after the incident happened, he ran into my sister at a local bar where he was drinking, but he couldn't ride in a car because it hurt his jaw. But he's at a bar that's 5 miles from his parents' house where he lives.
Trying to drink away the pain.
Not true, Your Honor.
I'd be there too.
Meanwhile, collecting my money.
I'd be there too. What do you have to say about the follow-up with the police, sir?
I've got a tape confession from him.
Let me hear the confession.
He called me approximately a day and a half later to apologize.
Hey Ben, this is Garrett. I just calling to let you know that I'm genuinely sorry about what had happened last night. I don't know exactly what happened. I just heard it bits and pieces. I'm going to turn myself in tomorrow. From what I've heard, it's basically a little messed up. I just want you to know that I am genuinely sorry. And I mean, I'd understand if you don't give me a call back, but if you would, that would be great. Thank you.
See, the thing about it, sir, and I'm glad to hear that you did that, and it sounds like you were at least remorseful, but you had to pay for your sins.
Honestly,
you have to pay for your sins, sir. Go ahead.
Throughout the criminal proceedings, I've paid this man $12,800 in restitution already. I sat on house arrest for 6 months for this. I feel I've given him enough money, and I not only paid my debt to him, but society as well.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think I'm entitled to pay him another $5,000.
Some people go to prison for the extent of damage that you caused, sir. What were your medical bills?
My medical bills, I had approximately $9,000 of medical bills.
And
here's copies of
let's see it, please.
The proof of the facial fractures.
Did the judge, in determining the restitution, mention anything about pain and suffering?
Absolutely not. It was just for my lost wages, I guess, Your Honor.
Right.
Was, the purpose.
Right,
but there
and
was
your
no
medical,
pain
and
no
it would
pain and
probably be
suffering.
for medical. $9,000 in medical, and then $3,000 in lost wages. And you can't say just because he may have had medical insurance that you don't owe. Even though a person might have medical insurance that might cover damages, they can still sue. And once they get that money, it's between them and the insurance company. The insurance company then can come to them and say, hey, give us that money. We paid that medical bill, and we hear that you got the cash as well. So you're double dipping. Give us the money he gave you. So that's what happened. So you have to pay him for the medical bills. Now, pain and suffering is different from that. The pain that he went through, the suffering that he went through, by your own admission, the man had to go to the bar and drink his problems away. You said that. You said it. Go ahead.
I guess I just assumed at some point this, a year or two later, that the pain would go away. In consult with my doctor that night, he said that I had injuries that consist of people that are typically in car accidents when they hit their face or head on the steering wheel, door, or the glass. He said that I'm lucky to be alive. If I would have passed out, he probably or could have possibly killed me. I have various sinus problems that are absolutely terrible. I have cold symptoms every day. I've discussed surgery options about that. They said that there is absolutely no guarantee that once they go in there, try to grind out or hone out the sinus, that it's going to make that drain better to relieve my chronic sinus infections. My jaw locks up. It's hard to eat tough foods like meats, different things like that. And then sometimes for days after, I get just irritating, cramping, mild headaches, things like that. But the sinus problems are by far the worst.
Okay. Let me say that you were smart. I always try and give advice to people to go and sue, no matter how small the amount is, because people like to engage in violence. And I'd rather see you come to a small claims court, even if it's only $500. The benefit we provide to society in listening to these $500 cases is to keep people from cutting each other up over $500. So that's the purpose that we serve. I'm going to grant him his $5,000, sir, even though you've paid your restitution. It's just that, restitution. And restitution is to restore the person back to the position they were in financially before the assault. And now I'm determining that the pain and suffering is the amount which he has asked for, $5,000. That's your judgment. So you better stop drinking with them beer muscles. You're going to drink and swing on the wrong person one day, and they may have a weapon on them. And I know that beer muscles give you courage. You get all this alcohol in you. Hey, come on with it, come on with it. And they're going to come with it. And it's going to be lights out. $5,000 for the plaintiff. Good luck to you both.
I don't think we don't have to worry about having a friendship after that incident.
I feel the same way. I wouldn't want to be friends with somebody that pretty much tries to take every penny from someone for one incident in which he started. And he's upset because he got beat up.
For the record, I didn't do anything to provoke a blindsided attack that evening, and he's definitely a coward for doing it.
Judge Mathis, my name is Sarah, and I have a question. My hairstylist caused my hair to fall out. Can I sue?
Yes, you can, Sarah. In order to win, you would have to prove that your hairstylist did something improper that caused your hair to fall out. My advice is that you get a professional hairstylist to testify or submit a letter that states what the proper hair care standard is and how your stylist failed to meet that standard. Good luck to you.